Well, one problem is, if that bill passes, we will be the only state in the union that gets rid of that water's edge feature. It essentially results in double taxation for earnings outside of California, because the international companies' earnings are taxed in other countries, and then they'd be taxed in California too. This isn't exactly a way to try to overcome our business unfriendly environment. I think it would be very unwise. And the interesting thing is that to tax an international company's earnings for their earnings overseas is really the equivalent of a tariff. So I have to believe then that Assemblyman Connolly and his co-authors agree with President Trump's tariff policy, because it is essentially an equivalent of that. I also noticed that they said that individual taxpayers are subsidizing these international companies, but they couldn't cite specifics on that, because there are no specifics on that. It kind of implies that if this passes, perhaps they're going to reduce the tax rates of individual taxpayers. I don't think they have that plan. So the subsidy argument really doesn't make any sense. And with regard to companies being able to manipulate their earnings between areas, the Franchise Tax Board has a very competent audit staff, and there are ways to watch that. That brings up the real issue of increasing taxes generally. What we have right now is not a revenue problem. As I've said repeatedly, this is a very unusual situation where we have deficits with rising income. That doesn't happen. Deficits are created when the economy slows down and therefore tax receipts decrease. But this is entirely different. We have increasing revenue. So it's not a revenue problem. It is a spending problem. And there are many of my colleagues who are desperately trying to raise taxes so that we don't have to face the real issue of our spending becoming significantly higher in the last 5 or 6 years. It very well could, because part of the problem with regard to the increasing expenditures is that they're increasing faster than revenues. And if we don't address that side of the deficit, it could very well increase the deficit, even with higher taxes.